Hi everyone, it's Celeste and welcome to my channel. Right now we are all in the middle of DIY fantasy wedding. A lot of the pieces that we have for our wedding I DIY'd myself. One of the videos was actually how to make my beautiful bouquets. These are recycled fabric from my wedding dress and some ribbon with some pearls and beads, wire, and a bouquet holder, and some ribbon. Today's video is actually about how I made my giant wedding bouquet. This is actually a pin bouquet, and you can see it right here. It has tons of vintage pins, new fashion pins, and actual scraps from my wedding dress. I made these flowers after I made my wedding dress. They're so beautiful, and honestly, I couldn't ask for a better assortment. When I was younger and I was thinking about my dream wedding, I actually searched bouquet styles, and then I came across pin bouquets. There were some of them that was nothing but pins, and there were some of them with small amount of pins. I really like the idea of having a combination, and I like how it goes down like this. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make this bouquet. This has tons and tons of pins. It's really heavy. I'm scared to weigh it. And of course, I have these dangling tassels. Now the tassels here are actually some of my own pieces of jewelry that I've used when I was younger, and I put it in. This one here is actually an earring that I lost, and then I used two of those bead pieces onto these other accessory pieces. I love rabbits. What kind of wedding would it be without a cute little rabbit like Alice in Wonderland? But honestly, I've always related to rabbits because I'm also born Year of the Rabbit. I was also thinking about changing this piece here. It is a cute little star, and I've had it since I was a child, but I don't really want to get rid of it. It's also sparkly. It fits in with the motif, so there's that. If you're new to my channel, make sure to click that red button down below to become a member of my sewing pin cushion called YouTube. Let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. I really fell in love with this brooch right here, and I'm going to try to make that the focal point and have it in the front of the bouquet. So if you have a favorite brooch, make sure you use it in the front of your bouquet. I have some of my roses without the pin at the back, and I'm going to be using some of the smaller pins inside it. The way that I did this was using some wire, and I twisted it around the brooch pin backing, and then I made it into a stem. Once I have the nice stem, I'm going to shove it through the middle of the rose and then secure it with some glue, or just leave it as is because it's going to be pushed into the foam. You can see how beautiful it looks here. So I'm going to fully demonstrate how to do that now. I'm going to take a medium length piece of wire, and this can vary depending on how big your bouquet is going to be. I'm going to slowly wrap it around the jewelry backing facet or the pin backing facet a few times. Make sure that this is secure as much as possible. Once I get that, I'm going to wrap it around the other side with the same piece of wire. I'm going to keep twisting it until I get a nice grip. Then I'm going to secure both of the ends of the wire together, making a nice long stem. Once you've done that, you're finished. Now just repeat this as many times as you need to with all the brooches that you've collected. Because I'm using the same base bouquet holder, I wanted to make it bigger. So what I'm going to do is cut up a few different sponges so I can make my overall shape larger. First, I'm going to take off this hard sanding part or this scrubby part, so I just have the nice spongy foam first. Once I have the entire top of the sponge separated, I'm going to make sure that I have the right amount spacing for the bouquet itself. Basically, I just cut it in half and then I shaped it down to make sure that it fits the side pieces. I wanted it to be bigger, not ridiculously huge. I made sure to cut other pieces of foam, making sure that I completely surround the side and the circumference of the bouquet. Once I had enough pieces of sponge that goes around my bouquet and I was happy with the placement, I made sure to secure it down with some hot glue. Because some of my flowers already had needles in it to be inserted to the bouquet holder, I went ahead and just used some hot glue onto a brooch and then put it in the center of a rose, carefully. I held it there in place for a few seconds, that way the glue had a chance to fully set and adhere inside the flower. Now with all of my roses being done and my pins being done, go ahead and start arranging your bouquet how you would like it to be. I first decided to start putting the white flowers down first because these are the ones that are going to hold the pins in place. Because some of the flowers had a little bit loose pins in it, I decided to use hot glue to keep it secure and on the phone. So now I started placing all of the white flowers in first. It's okay if you have some gaps, go ahead and keep working around your bouquet and making it more full. If you feel like some of your roses are a little bit weak, don't be afraid to use some hot glue to keep it secure. Just remember that this will make them really hard to relocate in the future. At this point, I have all of the gaps covered and I'm really happy with how it looks. I could go back and just keep it this way, nice and simple with the inside brooches, but knowing me and being fancy, I'm going to start adding the brooches in. This is going to be the brooches laying on top, or I'm going to glue the smaller ones inside the roses that are kind of basic. Now, some of my strands were really long, so go ahead and trim them to necessarily fit where they need to be. I didn't have a huge organizational plan and theme for mine other than to be white, sparkly, and loud and dramatic. So I made sure just to focus on the front part and the back part. Later my handle will be covered, but for now I want to just make sure that I use all of the pieces into my bouquet. If some of the brooches are too big and they're very heavy, I'm going to help secure it down using hot glue so that way it stays onto the bouquet and doesn't fall off during any of the ceremony or any of the party. So I have this lovely strand of pearl beads. I'm going to find this part first, so the two edges, and I'm going to glue it in the center part first, like right here, then I'm going to drape it. So with my hot glue gun being activated, I'm going to make sure there's an ample amount of hot glue on it, and then stick it onto the base. The base is going to get covered by these feather pieces, so I'm going to wrap it with this wrap, and then I'm going to cover all the unsightly pieces with this. I'm also going to drape this choker and then add a few extra charms so it has a nice rustic feel. Now, in order to drape it properly, I'm going to go to the next bead that I created, and I'm going to put it right in the middle. Alright, so just let that sit there for a second. Don't be afraid to over hot glue this because if it falls, like, you're screwed. Now this part, the end part, I'm going to go around back. And I'm going to secure it in place right here. Oops, let's not let that fall. We have this nice hanging part here. Looks really nice, right? So now, with this choker, I'm going to remove the extra choker parts and recycle that into a different piece of stuff later. At the edge here, carefully put it where you need it to go. Feel free to add a ton of hot glue just to make sure it stays in place. Alrighty. Stick that in there. So this under part is super unsightly. I'm going to add these little paper kind of flowers. They're feather flowers. They're really pretty. And now I'm going to be adding lots of hot glue. I'm going to lightly press it in place. Now once I had the first one on, I had like 6 more, but I didn't want to overcrowd the bottom of the bouquet handle. Not a lot of people were going to see it, so I decided to put 4 on the bottom. So think of the compass itself north, south, east, and west, and that's where I placed them. Now for the finishing touch, I'm going to be wrapping the bouquet handle. I'm going to see how many times I need to wrap it around to make sure it fits, and then I'm going to glue it in place. To start it off, I'm going to use the hot glue gun and cover the back part completely first with the wrong sides together, because we want the nice embellishment and the pretty side of the fabric on the outside first. I'm going to make sure it sticks really hard and press it down a lot. I want to make sure that this is super secure before going forward, so now that I finished the back, I'm going to make a nice seam of hot glue first on the front part of the handle before completely wrapping it. Now I'm going to just pull it over and push it down again. Once it's secured and completely not moving around, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it really tightly around the bouquet handle. Honestly, I could have padded it a little bit with foam to make it a little bit easier to hold, but that's okay. So this bouquet handle actually has a strip of Velcro on it so you can open and close it. I'm going to peel off that backing and then push it down really nicely. I feel like this was actually really weak, so I'm going to go back and use some hot glue to secure it down. I am extremely happy on how well this turned out. This was a very interesting project. I've never made anything like this before. So if you are interested in other DIY projects, make sure to check them out in the description box or in the video playlist. Thanks so much for watching. Stay inspired, be creative, and I will see you in a future video. Bye!